Hi, I'm Aaron Raw, and you're watching Atheist Edge.
Oh. I'm just going to have him hold my hand.
Hi, welcome to Atheist Edge. I'm Jim.
I'm Courtney.
And that's Nelson over there.
Hi.
We're going to do trivia part 2 today. If you remember back, if you didn't see the first one, I will link that in the description. And let's get to it. You have not seen these yet, correct? He's determined to ruin the show.
I know. Hello. Right. He just wants to be a star.
He wants to be part of the action. Okay, ready?
Okay.
I'm going to give, this is multiple choice, so I'll give you 4 questions. What were Jesus' last words? A is, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? B is, Father, into thy hands I commend thy spirit. C is, it is finished. Or D is, all of the above.
The thing that sounds most familiar to me is A.
My God.
Why hast thou forsaken me? That sounds familiar.
Actually, that was Matthew 27:46. That is correct. But also, in Luke 23:46, his last words were, Father, into thy hands I commend thy spirit. John 19:30, it is finished. So he had 3 last words, depending on who you read.
Right. That's pretty, yeah.
Anyway, next. Was there one here? Shoot. I'm going to have to edit
that
this
looks
part
like
out.
one.
Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. All right, next one. Which of these names are not biblical names for God? Which one is not a biblical name for God?
Okay.
All right. So God as described in the Bible, which one is not one of his names?
Oh, so biblical, right?
Right. In the Bible.
Okay.
What is he referred to as? A, Jehovah. B, El. C, Shaddai. D, Marduk. Or E, Jah, J-A-H. You want me to read them again? Jehovah, El, Shaddai, Marduk, and Jah.
Well, Jehovah sounds the most familiar.
Which one is not in the Bible as his name? Yeah. So he goes by all these except for one in the Bible.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which kind of what?
Yeah.
Like he was pulled from lots of different sources, maybe?
I've heard like Yahweh too.
Yahweh is a evolution of the term Jehovah. Yeah, it comes from Jehovah.
I think I learned that from Bo Burnham's rant, actually. Originally, yeah.
Before the Israelites, when they were still all part of the Canaanite tribe, the Israelites came from the Canaanites. The Canaanites, this was way before the Hebrews even, all right? When they were all the same tribe. They had a pantheon of gods, and I can't remember their main god. I can't remember. But underneath the main god, there was a whole pantheon of lesser gods. Yahweh was one of them. He was their war god.
Oh.
And he was married to...
Really, god of war.
Yes, he was the Canaanite war god before he came the Jewish big god. And he was married to Asherah. There was another lesser god that he was married to named Asherah. And so when the Hebrews broke away and formed their own tribe, they used that god as their main god. You can look it up. You can fact check me if you want.
Here we go.
It's true.
Please do.
Okay, so what is the answer? 320. D, Marduk. Marduk was a rival god, but it wasn't Yahweh.
So can you read off the rest of them?
Jehovah, El.
El.
Yeah, E-L, which means the one and only.
Okay.
And Shaddai, El Shaddai. He also goes by Adonai in the Bible. Adonai.
But Jehovah, is that why it's like called Jehovah Witnesses?
Yes, Jehovah's Witness.
They're witnessing
to God.
God, okay.
Yeah, they believe that Yahweh is a bastardization of Jehovah. They say it's there's no credibility with Yahweh being the name of God.
Oh.
And for some reason they want to make it clear that Jehovah is the only true name for God. It has special significance to them. So that's why when my mom died, my uncle, my mom's brother, he gave a eulogy, and he's a JW. he took my mom's death he took that opportunity as a platform to start preaching to us about Jehovah's Witnesses.
Well,
which made me fuming. But
yeah, and it's such a true just byproduct of religious thinking is that, what's most important is saving souls and saving people, and it has nothing to do with how the other things surrounding it that hurt people in the process, because the most important thing isn't what happens in this life, but how many people are saved for the next. And that's so from that mindset, unfortunately, that it's a common argument.
That's not just Jehovah's Witnesses. That's pretty much all Christians.
That's what I mean. Well, actually, not even just Christian. It's any religious.
Yeah.
Any religious thinking, I would say, is that this idea that like fundamentalist with having children who end up being gay or something. The argument is that you're kind of tormenting them in an effort to save them, and so in that way it's kind of a selfless thing, which is so tragic because it's causing so much harm, and the only way they could see it that way is if they step outside of their religious ideas and kind of look at the person in front of them, their child, as a human being who has its own rights and his own, his or her own needs and interests and personhood. They have bodily autonomy, which is something that I don't think is talked about enough.
And what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, they have this underlying theme where this life is just blink of an eye. It means nothing. It's a trial, just like you were saying. It's a stepping stone, and anything.
I think it depends on the religion.
Yeah, where any suffering that goes on here, that doesn't matter because they're always looking forward to the big game. Right. This means nothing.
Yeah, and I think fundamentalists make that argument a little bit more clearly, because it's kind of messed up, I think, but they're willing to stand behind it. But I think the more moderate Christians, they're not going to make that argument as strongly because they want to be fair and likable, and but when you get down to these arguments that are being made,
when you hold their feet to the fire,
well, it really is a valid idea if that's the worldview that you have, if that's true, that the main goal of living here is to gain entrance into a higher power's heaven and an afterlife, then it is the most important thing in life, no matter what else happens. And so I think that, believers would prefer things to be nice and for people to get along and everything, but as long as you adhere to their regimented idea of what should be moral, and I think, arguments are made about morality and things like that, but I think if you give them a little bit, then we might just end up reverting back toward this sort of biblical living in more extreme ways. If you accept certain things, then they'll push further, and I don't think... It
seems like just a shitty way to spin the only...
Yeah.
This might be... This, no one knows for sure.
Yeah.
But if this is it, it's a shitty way to spend it, seems like.
Yeah,
Ricky Gervais said, I think it was Pierce Morgan asked him, you atheists, you really just don't have anything to live for, do you? And he goes, just the contrary. We have everything to live for. Yeah. We have nothing to die for.
Right.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, and people have called, religious organizations, whether they're small cults or major, like Catholicism and things, called them a death cult. And I think I agree with that, because whatever is in this life is not nearly as important as what happens after you die, and fortunately, a lot of religious teachings teach the abomination of suicide, or I think we'd have a lot more of that happening within the religious groups, because if it's just a way to get to the other side, then if it wasn't
against the law,
right,
in most religious, then people would be
so,
doing in droves because they'd just be trying to see what happens.
And I think
impatient.
I'm not quite sure, but I think that's what happened to Christopher Hitchens' mother, right? That she was in a religious suicide pact,
No shit.
And I think that was part of why Hitchens
I didn't know any of that.
kind of went on his crusade, you know. Of,
Was this while he was a kid, or?
I think so. I don't really know.
And his brother went just the opposite.
Oh.
Did you see that debate between him and his brother? I think Peter Hitchens.
I don't know.
It's pretty good.
Probably
He's kind of his smarts. It runs in the family. Let's just say that he was a really good debate. But he was he's way Christian. All right, here we go. God does not forgive all sins. Which of these is said to be the only unpardonable sin in the Bible?
Okay.
All right, so throughout the whole Bible, there's only one sin that you can commit, and if you do it once, you're fucked. You're fucked. You can
Whoa.
never ask for forgiveness. Which one is it? Blasphemy against Jesus, blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, blasphemy against the laws of Moses, or blasphemy against God himself. You want to hear him again?
No. Well, was that...
They're all blasphemy. Jesus.
Would that have been written before
what, Old or
Moses?
New Testament?
Yeah. Would that have been accepted?
I'm not telling you which.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Old or New Testament.
Yeah, I guess because that would give away
blasphemy
a couple
against Jesus. We know that has to be New Testament. Blasphemy
Right.
against the God of Moses. That's probably Old Testament.
Well, I guess I would...
Holy Spirit would kind of have to be New Testament because the Trinity isn't even described until the New Testament.
Oh.
Jews don't have a Trinity.
So maybe just God?
And first off, the entire doctrine of the Trinity, I've had theologians, respected men in their field, try to explain the idea. Do you know what the Trinity is? What it really, truly is? The three persons, the Godhead, and the three persons in one person?
Yeah.
I've never heard it explained satisfactorily to me.
Well,
I've never heard it explained in a way that doesn't sound like just complete horseshit.
well, okay. The way that I remember when I was a believer is you had the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And I think they were different parts of the same...
One single being.
Yeah, but then Jesus is...
What's up, dude?
Jesus is... Like, it's a Trinity, but Jesus is also a separate entity because it's a son of the God.
He's God's son.
Right.
But they're the same? How? What?
Yeah.
They have separate minds, but they're the same fake...
Well, I mean, I don't think the believers really think about it that much, you know? Or...
You should. That's kind of a big deal, right?
Well, you know, if they did, then they probably
I saw a
wouldn't
funny
be
cartoon.
religious
It was
anymore.
a little girl asking a nun, Sister Mary, can you explain the doctrine of the Trinity? And said, well, the Trinity is basically that headache you get from trying to come to terms with this complete horse shit. It was something like that, but it was funny.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so which is it? Blasphemy against Jesus, the Holy Spirit, the laws of Moses, or God?
I'm going to guess God. Because...
I already know what it is. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
It's blasphemy against the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
It's mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the Bible. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Hebrews.
So what is the Holy Spirit? Is that what you were trying to figure out?
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
No,
the
I
Holy
know,
Ghost, yes.
But
It's
what,
that. I think it's that part
like,
that you feel in your heart on a Sunday when everyone's dancing around and you feel the Holy Ghost enter you. It's kind of that feeling you get. Yeah. Yeah. People get those divine revelations. You know, it's funny. Earlier today, we were looking at funny, like, church signs that were unintentionally pornographic. And Joel Osteen, he's a big mega church pastor down in Houston. You probably heard of him, but he will tweet some stuff, and there's some church signs, stuff like a 4-inch tongue can bring a 6-foot man to his knees.
Okay.
But you understand what they're trying to say? A 4-inch tongue can bring a 6-foot man to his knees. Oh, this is on a church sign. Where they're saying you can speak to a man and bring him to his knees through the power of the Lord. But the way they write it is just unintentionally. Someone needs to watch these people.
Oh, no. Well, there was something. This is probably said a million times, but I was watching recently Cosmic Skeptic. He's a UK like 18-year-old.
Sharp as a tack.
Right. People have been calling him kind of the next Christopher Hitchens, a young Christopher Hitchens.
Oh, yeah. We need another one.
Yeah.
Sam Harris, he hit or miss. He's about 80%.
I
love
really
him.
like Sam Harris. I think
love
he's
him.
very poignant, very well spoken, very well thought out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people kind of just take something he says at face value.
He's
and
misinterpreted
misinterpret.
a lot.
But on the other side of it, he is extremely clear. And if you actually hear what he says, then you don't get that impression.
The only thing
you
I
know?
disagree with him on, well, I'm still kind of on the fence on this whole meditation thing.
What?
Meditation, is it effective? Is there any efficacy to it?
For what?
Well, whatever claims they make. Anyone who meditates, their list of claims.
Well,
the
but
health benefits,
there are studies of
the
it.
psychological benefits. Really? Are
Yeah.
they peer reviewed? They're fact checked?
Right,
So
yeah.
meditation is a no shit thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, it puts you in an altered state of mind. Which,
What does that mean? I mean, what
meaning that
benefits can we get
like
out of it?
it can make you and again I don't have any like documentation, but I remember reading in my classes about
Oh yeah, this is your forte, isn't
kind
it?
of I'm not heavily into neuro. I really like it.
All right.
I think it's awesome, but I don't have an advanced degree in it or anything like Sam Harris. But meditation I know has been studied with regards to pain reception and stuff, that you can alter your
Nelson, go on.
susceptibility to pain, I guess. So like
Oh, is that a temporary fix, or is that
well, meaning like there are certain ways to do
when I
it,
meditate and
to
then
do-
tomorrow something very painful happens?
No,
I
no,
suffer,
meaning
you would be able to.
meaning immediately, like you can have surgery, kind of thing.
You can meditate while you're coming out of, or like while you're recovering to ease the pain.
No, I don't know, but it's something to do with the ability to
Because I know another good way to
sort
ease
of
the
not
pain
feel pain while
after surgery. Medication.
No, yeah, no, it's not.
Right?
It's not talked about as like a replacement for. I mean, it is, but this whole like Eastern
It just
versus
seems a
Western
little
medicine.
woo-woo to me.
Well, I mean, it is, but I don't think that there's a blanket all that is bad. The way I see it is that if something is effective for some people, then that's good. And sometimes the placebo effect is so effective that it does help people as well.
It is.
So it may, but the point of double-blind studies is that if you have something that's only effective in a placebo effect kind of percentage, then you test people in a double-blind study. I don't know if you.
Yes,
okay. So
I do.
So we'll.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah. So double-blind.
Those give me confidence.
Yeah, and that's the point. So double-blind means that the researcher doesn't know which person has the actual
There's
medication.
no fudge factor.
Right. Which person has the actual medication? Which person doesn't have the actual medication? You give two
It's
groups.
what science is based on, really.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you give two groups, kind of separate them into two groups, and you have one group have the actual medication, and another group has a sugar pill or something like that that won't negatively affect their health, but will make them believe that they are taking the real one. And so the point is that psychologically, if you believe that you're going to get better in a certain way, you actually physically will get better, only with a sugar pill, and that's called a placebo effect. So it's very fascinating the way that your brain can kind of create actual health in your body.
Endorphins.
So for that reason, meditation, I can understand it, because with the placebo effect, you're creating actual physical change. It's not just people thinking they're getting better. People actually do get better.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's the point, is that your mindset and how you're looking at your health and everything, it affects your physical body. So that's meditation. But the point of a double-blind study is double-blind, meaning the patients don't know what they're getting and the researchers don't know what they're getting. So when you administer it, you can't inadvertently affect how the outcome comes based on your knowledge of who's getting the right one, because it can.
How does that tie into meditation then?
Meaning that, I was just explaining double-blind study.
Right,
But,
okay.
So double-blind provides a way for you to look at both groups without knowing which one has it, and say these people improved more so than the placebo effect people. And so the point of it is to show that the medication is more effective than the placebo effect.
All right, so that same type of double blind has been done on the efficacy of meditation.
Right.
And it's been shown effective.
I'll try and find
Okay,
that.
let's
But
assume
I
that there are
have
some
heard
things that look like that are favorable, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just know that
Effective
meditation.
in what way?
Well, meaning meditation has been studied by neuroscientists because it is really fascinating. The mindset that it creates and kind of the difference it creates in a person. And when I went to India, we had a lot of meditation practice that we did, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Give me some anecdotal evidence.
Well, it wasn't so like
how did it
guided.
affect you? Change you?
No, I wouldn't say that it did me. I think that the medical changes that they're talking about are people who like live in a cave for 3 months or
You
something.
must have had
like
at
the
least
extreme.
one cool weird experience.
Well, I mean, I think we talked about this in another one with Sam. That this idea of altering your state of mind through meditation. We talked about.
You're gonna have to nail that down. What does that mean?
Like having losing your awareness of where your body is in space, like where your limbs are, kind of thing.
And that's beneficial how? See,
No,
I'm
well,
just trying to
that's not the part
nail
that's
it down.
beneficial.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that I know there have been studies on what changes happen in the brain and in the body during someone's meditation, and the person that they're studying is someone who's like a Buddhist monk who's like meditated for a very long time and has a kind of regimented practice where they know what they're doing. And so there are brain pattern differences that happen, like your brain function shifts. And, I don't know what
Okay, let's take
exactly
that Tibetan Buddhist monk that has been doing it his whole life. He's like mastered at it. Mm-hmm. How has he benefited versus us? In what way is his life better than us?
I'd have to read the study. My only point is that neuroscientists
You see where I'm going?
have studied it.
I want to know some actual tangible results.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, so
find out.
back up the tangent. That's the only thing I just maybe disagree with Sam on. I don't.
What?
The whole meditation thing. He's always talking about going in a cave for a year and just going dark and getting off of social media. And
I think his main, my main agreement with him is the idea that that non-believers are just as able to experience transcendent experiences.
oh,
In a secular context.
well, I did that a lot in college. It's called acid.
Well, and that's part of it, but meaning that there's a.
It's easy.
Well,
you
yeah,
don't
like
have to,
like
you don't have
like,
to get your. You can just. It's a little square of paper that big.
Okay, well, I don't know anything about that, but Lawrence Krauss talks about looking at the Hubble Telescope and being able to see, and the reason they talk about that, by the way, is that when you look into a telescope that can see further than we've ever been able to see, is that when you look that far out, you're looking at
History.
Well, yeah, you're looking at entire galaxies that have
Gone.
by the time you see them, by the time the light from that solar system hits us, in the time it takes for it to reach us,
They're dead, and other ones have replaced them.
Yeah. So the point of that is that by the time you're looking at it, that galaxy is probably already completely gone, and that's what's really incredible, is kind of showing the
I see where you're going.
the tiny spot of time that we have here, and the kind of insignificance of our life, which is very humbling and very motivating, I think, because if that's the way that it is, then it motivates you to do with your life exactly what you want to do, and to accomplish what you want to. So things that seem impossible to us, like ending world hunger and things like that, it makes those things seem a lot more possible because we are such a tiny, insignificant.
I guess if it takes meditation to get into that frame of mind, go for it.
Yeah,
but see, I can get
yeah.
in that frame of mind just right now, spontaneously.
Well, I mean, I think the
I think
interest,
I live that way.
The interest for neuroscientists is just to figure out what it does to the brain.
Yeah, that's.
So and also scientists, when they study things, they don't really know what they're going to find. They don't know if it's going to be significant, or they don't know if they're going to end up publishing a paper on it, or if it's just going to be kind of a dead end. And that's kind of the grunt work of science, which is what I really love about it, and I that's why I want to get into it, because it's really fascinating to not know what you're going to find.
You're working on your master's right now?
No.
What are you working on right now?
I'm working on applying to PhD programs.
You already have your master's.
I have a bachelor's. So with a lot of programs, you get a master's first, and then you get a PhD. With psychology research, you get a bachelor's degree, and then you go right into a PhD program.
Yikes.
So it's like 5 years. And sometimes you get a master's along the way, maybe in a minor.
What's your end goal for this?
I want to be a professor and do research.
Nice. R&D, right?
R&D.
Well, no. I guess that doesn't apply to psychology.
What is that?
Research and development. I guess it could apply.
Well,
yeah,
I just
the research end of it.
I want to teach courses.
You don't want to do clinical.
Primarily.
You don't psychiatry. You don't
No.
Yeah.
Well, psychiatry.
Why do you no?
Psychiatry is totally different. No, I don't want to be a counselor.
Well, no. There's.
I want to be like academic.
Different echelons of.
Well, meaning you said psychiatry.
Clinical
I don't
research,
want to be
not clinical research, clinical practice, like actually treating people.
Right. Yeah. I don't.
No.
I don't think so.
Why?
Because the only reason I want to be a professor is because I love the university environment. You know, I want to be in the classroom, and I want to elevate people by educating them.
You want to further human progress.
Right, and for me...
That's a very atheist thing. I can see that. If I were in the psychology field, I'd want to do the same thing.
Well, and for me, you know, education is something that I think touches all other social issues. I think it benefits all social issues, just kind of in general. So things like child hunger, things like women's rights, things like
that's a good segue.
Domestic violence, things, you know, all these things I think are touched by education, and so I my main goal is to be helpful to humanity in some way in my life, and what I want to, the reason I want to dedicate my life to this one cause is because I do think that it affects everything else in a positive way.
That's a great segue for the women's rights that you touched on.
Okay.
Here we go. And we'll take a break after this one. Which command regarding women's rights is not found in the Bible? So I'm going to read you four. You tell me which one is not in the Bible.
Okay.
It might be in another holy book.
That sounds like the Bible saying that women
I'm gonna give
have
you a
these
hint.
rights.
The one that's not in the Bible is found in another holy book.
Okay.
Okay. Women must never be allowed to teach men anything. Women, yeah, I know. Women who refuse to sleep with their husbands will be cursed by angels.
Ugh.
Women may not speak in church. Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, I'm going too fast. Women may not speak in church. Women must be complete in complete obedience to their husbands. So here we go. Not allowed to teach men. Penalties for refusing to sleep with their husbands, not speak in churches, or complete obedience to their husbands.
Okay, well, unfortunately, the fourth one I've heard in wedding vows.
Yeah, you got that one nailed.
Which is
I've heard that too.
And they have
and
a
their
Bible.
Justification for it is just mental gymnastics from hell.
Oh, it's creepy.
It's crazy.
Well, and they have that whole thing about men being honorable to their wives, and it's like women have their place in the world and men have their other place, and it's just annoying.
Cringe fest.
Yes,
2017.
but they don't leave any room for homosexual relationships or
not.
you know anything that
Oh,
would
this
not
book
just
also
put
talks
people in
about
a complete category.
Yeah, Jesus
and limit
never
their life.
Jesus never ever mentioned homosexuality. In that kind of, it's kind of a little factoid. Paul mentioned it once. Paul never met Jesus though.
So
Jesus
meaning
himself,
the people that want to just disregard the Old Testament and only go with the New Testament.
Well, that's most Christians. You talk to almost every Christian I talk to, if I bring up anything, oh, well, that's the Old Testament.
Right,
really? Okay. Hand me that book real quick. I don't know which chapter it is, but there's a whole chapter in this one that I wrote, available at fine bookstores everywhere, about, oh, that's just in the Old Testament. Well, I can show you exactly 12 verses in the New Testament that tell you the Old Testament still applies. I hate to break that news to you, but
I would think I did hear that from you. Yeah. So this is most people believe in God.
I've already plugged it before,
Can
but
they all be wrong? It's pretty awesome. Anyway,
oh, the one we're reading from is called "Pulling Back the Green Curtain" by Stephanie Chase. That one's also on Amazon.
So the choice was speaking in church, teaching men.
Not allowed to teach men, refusing to sleep with their husbands, penalty, not speaking in church, or complete obedience to husband. I gotta make sure.
All of them sound familiar except for the I mean, they all sound familiar, but the least one sounds like the refusing to sleep with their husbands.
That's right. That one's in the Quran. It's in the Hadith, in the Bukhari.
Creepy.
And so the other one, not allowed to teach men,
Mm-hmm.
that's in Timothy.
Yeah. Not
Not allowed to speak in church, that's in Corinthians. And complete obedience to their husbands is in Titus.
The sleeping with husbands thing, there was an article, I think, or some sort of debate going on online about whether it was so creepy. Husbands sleeping with their wives while their wives are asleep.
It's not rape, first off. I know
yeah.
that, yeah.
What the hell is that? Like, and it's a debate. Like, people think like, well, they're married.
Let me
and
pause
I'm
button
like,
you real quick. Let me pause button you. That's a great example of why old biblical teachings that are stagnant, that are fixed, they're not allowed. No, you can't add on, you can't take away from them. They're fixed.
Right.
Now, morality is subjective.
Right.
We know that our morality is subjective. Christians will say it's objective. It's ordained by God. Now we're at a point in evolution in history where we have this thing called consent. Consent implies that both parties should say yes before it happens.
Right. Well, and there was a mandatory.
But see, they can go back and edit that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and that's what's so dangerous about some of these things. But when I was in college in Maine, they had a mandatory tutorial about defining consent. In college, it was mandatory for you to watch this tutorial video before you signed up for classes. And what was interesting was it was talking about there has to be kind of an enthusiastic yes, is what they said.
Are we about to go into postmodernism? Postmodernism?
I don't know what that means.
Social justice? Are we about to go down that rabbit
well,
hole?
no, it was just an educational thing that all students had to watch because there's a big.
Well, when you say college and consent and mandatory, I don't know how familiar you are with the postmodernism movement. No, okay.
Mm-hmm. But the only thing is, I really liked it because it's a way to kind of because a lot of young kids, especially in American public school, aren't given education on this stuff, kind of in a public school fashion. I certainly wasn't in high school. I went to high school in Texas, and I remember there being a discussion about like puberty, but there was never a discussion at all about some sort of sex education thing.
Was it abstinence only back then?
Probably. I don't know.
It is
but,
now. Well, I got two daughters, and
yeah,
I know for a fact that they hire church firms. They hire churches. They're not under the church guys. I know they're under a different organizational name. Yeah, and they come in, and it's just one day, and they only do maybe 2. It's not even 2 hours, and it's basically just say no. It's basically just say, that's all.
Like
the only
drugs?
sex ed they get.
Well, but what's worse...
Let me break in as long as we're
yeah.
Pick it back up. Can you remember where you left off?
Yeah.
Because I want to ask you this. Both parties, college, party, male, female, equally drunk, both smashed out of their minds.
Okay.
They have sex.
Okay.
They wake up the next morning. She regrets it. She claims rape. Vast, overwhelming majority of courts will side with her. It was rape, even though I'm
true?
just as drunk as you were.
Is that true? That
Is
they'll
it?
side with her? Because
Okay,
I know there's
for
a
the
big...
purpose of
there's a big...
I'm not going to fact check. I can't fact check
Well,
right
no,
now. But
meaning
let's
that
just
what
assume
I've-
for the sake of argument that it was true.
Okay, wait a minute. But just from what you said about the majority of what happens, I do believe that most juries...
Side with the women?
No, that the lawyers will paint the woman as being at fault. Well, the tutorial on consent, I liked that, and there was actually a YouTube video that I found later that made it an analogy to having someone drink tea. Is that it's really funny. It's like this little stick figure in the video, and if somebody says that they want tea and you make them tea, and you hand it to them, and then if they decide they don't want it anymore, you don't just pour the tea down their throat.
I see where you're going. And
if they say they want tea, or if you offer them tea and they don't want tea, again, you don't pour it down their throat. And so it's a great analogy for consent. At
any time, if you say no, it's over.
Right.
And I think that
and
kind of goes without saying. But there's no one out there that actually thinks you should allow me to finish. What?
Right. Well, and
is there really anyone that thinks that?
No. Well, college kids do. There's a kind of a fraternity mentality of men having rights to women's bodies in a way, and so the point of the college mandatory thing was because there's a lot of rape that happens on campus, and a lot of it is based on this idea that there wasn't really proper confirmation of consent, and so the point is that silence
is not consent,
right? And
what's a fine line?
And I do understand that. I understand, having a person kind of come at you in that way and feel like afraid of them and feel like you can't speak or you can't say anything, and there's a lot of social pressure as well, feeling like you kind of have to go through something you already agreed to, and so it just makes that line clear of again, people having rights to their bodies, people having autonomy, and so it's just kind of an important point to make for college kids, because otherwise it may not be talked about at all.
Have you seen this app where, I don't know if they're still using it, but it's anything short of like giving your actual consent, which really is a term, it almost puts the fire out, doesn't it? Like you're still at the bar, before anything happens, here's my app, I need you to sign your name here and hit accept.
What are you talking about?
It's an app where both parties consent on the app, and it's recorded. And then, but see, that just...
But again, if they change their mind...
okay, well, there's that.
Then that's not good,
No. At least initial consent.
Ugh, I don't like that.
Right.
Because
it
that
just
seems like
puts the fire out?
That seems like some sort of legally binding thing, that if something happens... again, sexuality is something that's so nuanced, and things, it's not just about consenting to be with a person, it's about everything that happens in that time as well. And if something happens that you don't want to happen, then it's there's that gray area again. And so if someone were to
here's a new one. This one's Nala, the Great Pyrenees.
She's lighter fur. She's very pretty.
Okay, now you can go. All right, sorry.
But so if something happens that someone isn't comfortable with, it's kind of like safety word with, other things. I feel like that kind of app could be used as a way to show that this person consented, and so they don't have a legal right to dispute, any wrongdoing.
So that app could actually...
That's what it feels like to me.
It backfired to where, I had her consent,
yes,
and then he did something really nasty.
Yes. And also you don't have any way of verifying.
Or she.
Oh yeah. And so there is a big problem with campus rape happening, and by the way, colleges not wanting to have their students report it. And
I haven't heard that.
And overtly tell them they shouldn't report it, mainly because they don't want their statistics of how many rapes happen on campus to go up, and most college campuses have more happening there than what they report. And no college wants to be the first one because no parent are going to send their student to that college if you show the actual statistics. But the other disturbing thing was that there was a rule at one university, I don't remember which one, that when the police were investigating the attack of 2 women, they were not allowed. It was by a member of the football team.
You're not talking about Duke or UVA or
I don't
any of that
know.
stuff.
But meaning that
There's a lot of
police
false rape allegations that have occurred.
Okay, but the police outside of the university, the police that as part of like the local community, were not allowed to question, come and interrogate and have questions for the athletic department.
That's trying to keep it in-house, right?
Yeah, the entire athletic department, and it is so creepy. And I've actually seen the guy that was accused on the documentary that I saw, which I think was called Hunting Ground on Netflix. One of the guys that and there have been multiple reports of rape from this guy. I saw him on TV, like, a few months ago, being interviewed for his like football whatever, and it was creepy. But this kid, he was completely, just, yeah, it's awful.
I got that sparked 2 more questions for you real quick, and we'll jump off this. If it was determined beyond a shadow of a doubt that we'll just go with a female allegated rape, and it turns out it was a hoax, as she just made it up because she just maybe felt guilty after the fact, which is it's fairly common.
Is it?
Oh, let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that at least in this case, it happened. Okay.
I think like
you see where I'm going with this?
I forget where the statistic was, but it was a very, very small statistic of women who actually don't.
Okay, let's just one hypothetical case where it's found beyond a shadow of a doubt that this woman claimed rape and it wasn't rape.
Okay.
Should she get, what type of sentence should she get for the false rape allegation? Should it be equal to the rape itself, somewhere lower, or none at all, or just probation, or where at?
I think lower at least.
But here's nothing. Here's probation, and here's rape charge. Where should it be?
I think a criminal charge.
Felony, like rape?
Well, I mean, but I really don't like the perpetuating of the idea that women lie about it, because there's so much of a stigma against.
I can't pull it up now, but there are tons of evidence.
No, I'm saying the consequence.
The Duke lacrosse team is the first one that jumps to mind.
I'm saying that the consequence for women who actually do lie, I think there should be a consequence, because I don't like,
Should be a felony. She was
I
about
no
to send
idea.
that guy out the river for
I don't know too much about
25
what
to
else
life.
happens at that legal level. Like what other things you could be punished for the same punishment for. So I don't really know. But it's it is very disturbing, the prevalence in the legal sphere of women being charged with the fault for that, versus.
Well, our legal system is not perfect, but it's.
Yeah.
I forget who said it, but some famous person said our legal system is the worst legal system ever, except for all other legal systems.
Yeah,
like it sucks, but compared to everywhere else on Earth, the government is that's probably it.
I've heard that about the U.S. government. And I don't know if that's true.
Next one is.
I think there's a big like just default. You're not patriotic if you don't think that our country is the greatest country in the world. Like you have to, and it's weird. I think that being a world citizen first and seeing things the way they actually are has a lot more validity than just being patriotic.
I think the only thing we lead the Earth on is at this point is incarceration per capita and teen pregnancies, and we're way down the list on literacy even.
Well, do you know much about the abstinence only education programs?
Texas, it's real bad.
Well, do you know
It's
about
all
the program
abstinence
itself?
only. Well, I just know from my daughters what they receive in
Oh.
school.
What was that like?
It's abstinence only. They,
Well,
like I was telling you,
what
they
did it
hire
include?
the outside firm, and that outside firm,
Mm-hmm.
I looked up the name of the firm, and I did a little research, and I traced it back to a church.
Creepy.
Yeah.
No,
it's-
but legally, I've
is that
heard-
Greg Abbott or the last governor? Who was it? Rick Perry.
Uh-huh.
I don't know who implemented
No,
it.
I'm
but-
just saying legally in abstinence only doesn't have to be factually accurate about what
And
about
what
the
does it do to
information that
teen
they
pregnancy?
give. Yeah.
Teen STDs.
Yes, and that's the point, is that it raises these statistics more so than no program at all at the school, and so not touching it at all and just letting teenagers just fend for themselves, which is awful. You know, but the reason that it has such an effect is that it makes all of this kind of shameful, and it puts a lot of
Stigma.
yeah, well, a lot of stigma on women especially, and and sometimes
healthy.
sometimes you'll have for young teenage kids, you'll have this analogy of women as being a stick of gum or a piece of tape.
Something
that-
should be used or objectified or.
Well, and the point is that if you touch the tape to one person, then it's dirty, another person, another person,
yeah,
and it gets
okay.
dirty, and it loses its know
Yeah.
whatever, and it is just like or a shoe being used by it's.
I've heard that before. Now, at this point,
It's
I have to
awful.
say that I am a self-identified anti-feminist. The way the third wave feminist movement has gone, I know.
I don't know enough about it.
I do, unfortunately.
really debate you on
and
that.
you know what? I envy your ignorance. I really do. And I mean that in the best possible way.
Thank you.
I envy that you don't know about Evergreen State College.
Well,
you don't know about the Canadian Bill C-16.
and not everybody has too much of an interest in it too.
Thank
it
goodness.
doesn't.
You know, the more you get into it, the more you. Yeah. If you haven't seen The Red Pill on Netflix, I invite you to.
The red pill.
Oh boy, it's great. I turned on a friend to it, and Britt,
Yeah.
our president of Metroplex Atheist, and she couldn't believe what she was watching. It's an eye opener, and you see where the third wave of feminism is going, which leads me to my
I feel like
last
you're gonna
question,
get
and then we're
a
gonna.
lot of pushback on that.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get my ass kicked for this. But I think most of the people who watch my channel are on my side. Maybe we'll see. But and then we'll move on to something else after this.
Okay.
Feminist movement, as of right now, they say feminism. Who's the girl that played Hermione on Harry Potter? What's her name? What's her name? I forget. You know who I'm talking about. Emma Watson. All right, so she went before the UN, I think, twice. And feminism is about equality for everyone, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry I'm touching a nerve. I'll get off this real quick.
It's not that it's a nerve. It's just that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me just.
Feminism.
We're just going to hit the wave tops of this. I don't want to go deep.
We don't have
I don't
to.
want to go deep.
It's just that HeForShe. For
God.
me,
Now I need to take a shower.
for me, it was really, really wonderful because what it did was it accentuated the idea that feminism is about equality for both genders, and it's about including men into the conversation, because so much of
we get a voice now.
yeah, and
See,
and
it wasn't
that's-
like that for a long time.
but
I don't think it's still like that.
Okay, but for at least me, and people who think of themselves as supporting the main idea of feminism, maybe not the movement. I don't know what the movement says, but the main idea of feminism
I think I
that
know
women
what that
can
is.
get behind is gender equality, which is for both sides.
Which means gender egalitarianism.
What does
Same
that
thing. Equality for both genders.
Okay, yeah, gender equality.
Or multiple genders, or whatever you identify
right.
as. But
meaning that this for men, this pressure to not show emotion and to have be physically stronger than everyone else around them. There shouldn't.
okay, that's a social construct. I agree with
Right,
that.
and so feminism is a movement for that as well, and so.
I just don't see them
that's the point of
advocating
it.
for that as much. Which
Well,
I
again,
got to pause button you.
Yeah.
They don't advocate male prostate cancer is twice as deadly as breast cancer.
Okay.
And it's only half as funded.
Okay.
You never see a feminist movement advocating for prostate cancer. If they are about equality for both sexes,
Yeah.
they would advocate for prostate cancer twice as much as Pink Day and the
Okay.
Susan G. Komen 5K run for breast cancer.
Okay.
It's because boobs are way more popular than prostates.
But
right? No?
Okay, but
Am I wrong?
Well, then whoever is running that movement, then say that, you know.
Okay.
But say it in an approachable way, not you guys are hating all men, because they're not. You know, that's not what
I
it
have not
is.
once said that. You
No, but
said
people online say that.
it.
And
People online are trolls. And they're
Okay.
anonymous, and they say whatever's on their mind.
Right, but
and most of them are complete idiots.
they create actual opinions in regular citizens.
The other thing is, did you know this? This is I'm about to blow your little mind.
Thank you.
Ready?
Okay.
More men in the United States are raped than women. See? Look at that. Just
I know.
zoom in on her face.
I know it happens.
More men are victims of rape than women.
Why?
Look at your face. Now, when I say the word prison, it's going to change. It's your mind's going to go, oh.
Well, that makes sense.
See? But
Yeah.
now,
That makes sense.
does it matter that they're incarcerated? Because they still have civil rights.
Right. Shouldn't
Now,
matter.
you can fact check me. More men are raped than women in the United States.
Okay.
Before I said prison, it blew your mind. Now you're going, oh, yeah, well, of course, they deserve it.
Well,
no,
I'm
do
not-
they really deserve it? They're getting their punishment now.
What?
Do they deserve the violation of their civil
Absolutely
rights?
not. They don't deserve that. No.
Okay, but
They don't-
when I first said it, you didn't. It kind of.
Well, because I've never heard that before. No.
Right.
But it makes sense.
But do you see a feminist group fighting for protection of against rape, male rape victims in prisons?
I think they should.
Do they?
I don't know.
They don't.
Okay.
They don't.
Well, then again, write a letter to the establishment. But the point of doing more, I think, statistically doing more women's issues than men issues, if that's what's happening, I don't know. But I think
Come here, Arya.
But I think the reason.
Nah, you got to say something. You can say it off camera. Go.
No, I don't want to.
But I think the reason for that is what was said with someone talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, which we don't have to get into. But meaning that if you have a house that's on fire, and the firemen don't come to the neighborhood and throw water on all the houses because all houses matter. They throw water on the house that is on fire because it's the house that needs the help the most. And so I think that the feminist movement, if they're focusing more on women's issues, I think there are more issues to be focused on.
This is
Maybe-
good for me. This is
maybe.
good for me because I'm cringing my
for
ass
me,
right now.
yeah, for me that would make sense if you see statistically more women's issues being
How about-
pushed because there are more women's issues that this is still a patriarchy. You know what I mean? Like it's
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that because that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Okay.
I'm sorry, a whole other rabbit hole. I hate when people say whole nother rabbit hole or a whole nother story. Okay, back up.
Yeah.
If we say all lives matter
Yeah.
and the ones that need the most attention get the most attention, would you be happy with that? Meaning, we're in a neighborhood, all houses matter, the ones on fire get the most attention, but still all houses matter. Would you be okay with that?
Right. Because if other houses were on fire, then those houses would get the attention.
The
It's about
nomenclature
the
Black
urgency.
Lives Matter only points out blacks.
Right.
If you just called it all lives matter, but the ones that have the most need for help get the most attention.
That's the point of the slogan, though. The slogan.
The slogan is segregationist.
The slogan is saying, "Hey, we matter too," and that's the point.
Why doesn't it say Black Lives Matter too? BLMT.
It's.
Oh.
Why would they need to?
Why would they need? Can you tell me one tangible benefit that the BLM movement has made since their inception?
Again, the reason I said we don't have to talk about it is because I don't know very much about it.
Right.
But
I mean,
I
even
understand.
if you did,
but I
you wouldn't be
understand
able to
the
tell me
basic-
one thing that
Okay.
they've actually accomplished.
Great, but I understand
Except,
the
like-
basis of the slogan, which is pointing out that in this country, often Black lives are treated as if they do not matter, and that's the point.
Give me one institution or organization that institutionally believes that blacks don't matter as much as whites.
the legal system,
Really?
the judicial system, yeah.
Really? Does it say it somewhere encoded? Is it encoded in the
Meaning,
writing?
it's how it plays out in the real world.
Okay, but it's not in writing. It's the way it's written.
But it
It's
wouldn't be.
equal for everyone.
It wouldn't be, because that would
So
be unconstitutional.
at what point does it become unequal? Is it the minds of the humans?
If you just look at
but
the
actual
statistics.
the actual documentation
Well,
has it equally, right?
Okay, if you look at the percentage of the population that is African American versus any other race,
12%.
and the percentage of
Sorry,
African American
13%.
Okay, the percentage of the African Americans in prison compared to the rest of the population.
Okay, out of that 13%, okay, I say black a lot. I don't identify as white. I don't call dark-skinned people black because they're not black. This is black. I've never met anyone this color. And I have never met anyone this color.
Why does it matter?
I just don't say white or black. So I'm going to, if you ever hear me saying white or black from here on out, I mean light-skinned or dark-skinned.
Well, and
Okay.
that's the point. That's what it means. That's what people mean by it
Yeah,
when
but
they
it's
say
a
that.
different variations of tone. What
But
about someone that's right in the very
It's
center?
not necessary to make
What
that
if they're
distinction,
halfway
I don't think.
between this and this? What would you call them?
There's a lot of different names for people.
What would you call them?
People call them mixed, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, anyway.
People
I
call
just
them
don't
that.
like saying black or white. It's probably from
Okay.
being a Marine. In the Marine
Alright.
Corps, there is no racism. It's true. For 21 years, I didn't know no shit.
I don't know anything about
There
it.
is zero racism.
But that would be a very surprising thing to me because
we don't even
because
say
it's run
white,
by human
black.
beings and human beings.
We
are
don't say
flawed
light
and-
skinned or dark skinned. We just said light green or dark green. Oh, if you're trying to describe another Marine to another Marine, you would say that's a light green Marine. Well, that's a dark green Marine. We're all different
Okay.
shades of green. Anyway, where were we going? Damn, I forget. See, I just threw us off. I'm sorry.
You were talking about
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter, prison system.
And the prison system. Okay, so 13% are black. Here I am. 13% of the U.S. population are of darker skin than me, significantly.
Yeah.
Okay. 6% are dark-skinned men. 6% of the population are dark-skinned men.
Okay.
They make up over half of all the violent crime.
The point is, they make up over half.
I'm not saying that's because they're
Is-
dark-skinned. I'm
is
saying that's because
convictions.
dark skin. No.
What are you talking about?
No. Over half of all the violent crimes are committed by 6% of the population. And I'm
Okay.
not saying that's because of the color of the skin. I'm saying
Right.
that historically, dark-skinned people are of lower income.
Okay, but based on
because they
what
started from what?
statistic?
Oh, I can show you. Department of Justice, first off.
But
But
meaning how
look,
are they
let
defining
me-
that?
let me
How are they
keep that
defining
going.
crime?
Let me keep my mind thought going.
Yeah.
Dark-skinned people didn't have the same start as us.
Mm-hmm.
They started from slavery, and it was only a few generations ago.
Right.
So it's not because of the color of the skin that they're committing the crimes. It's because they start off at it's an income level. It's an
Okay.
income level. You have lower income will always commit the most crimes.
Okay.
Dark-skinned people typically have the lower income.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always. There's a big overlap.
Okay.
But you cannot look past the fact that 55% of all U.S. violent crimes are caused by 6% of the population, which are dark-skinned males.
Okay. I can't.
No one ever
I can't
addresses
debate
that.
you on that because I don't know anything about it, but I just know there is.
That's going to make me look like I'm going to get racist. I'm just telling facts.
Okay, but I just know there is a significant argument that is made consistently about wrongful convictions and longer sentences than white people on the same crime.
Men are convicted for equal crimes, like you and
No,
I go
I'm saying white men versus black men.
Right, but now I'm talking
is-
male and female.
Okay, but can I?
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
So that there is a significant difference in arrests that are made, in looking at certain members of the population more, and you have this with the whole stop
An
and frisk
inherent
thing
racism.
being yes, and
But it's not institutional.
okay, but it is because
No,
it
institutional
happens.
means it's written in the code.
Okay, but
This is individuals that are racist.
It's systemic. Can you take that one?
No,
Systemic.
I can't. No, I can't take systemic.
Meaning that,
I know what systemic
meaning
means.
that it's the system
The
itself.
system isn't doing it. It's individuals that are racist that that
not
are biased.
particularly. No, it isn't particularly.
Systemic also means institutionalized. It would be written in the code.
But I don't think.
Here's the system.
Right.
Here's what we're gonna. What we're gonna.
Let me make an analogy.
Okay.
Let me make an analogy for major corporations and a glass ceiling for women. Okay.
The percentage of CEOs in the Forbes top 500 businesses.
Just promotions in general.
All right.
Is that I don't think that the people making the decisions in those institutions that keep women from progressing just as much as men in the same number of years as part of it, not because they had children, not because they've been out, because they had the same amount of time, same education. I think the reason that happens isn't because the individual is a sexist prick. It's because of the way that the system works that was created.
Yes, you keep saying system.
Meaning the way that businesses are run and the way that they think of.
But it's off the book system, right? Can we agree that it's an off the book system?
What does that mean?
It's implied. It's nothing written down. It's not encoded
no, it's
in
not.
this.
It's not written. No, I'm not saying that.
Okay,
I'm
so I think we're talking past each other.
No.
When you say systemic, it's off the books.
I do mean
it's like
systemic.
old boys club, like hey, secret handshakes and.
Wait, what I do mean is that what is written creates a system that is inherently sexist.
Wow. I disagree with that.
Meaning that it's not expressly said because that's not what people want. That they don't want.
What would you like to see
overtly
written to overcome that?
Okay, I don't. What I'm saying, the people that are running the companies.
We are going to catch so much hate mail for this.
Do not want. I don't think they individually want to have more men than women in the leadership roles and things like that. I don't think that that's what's happening.
I can't speak for all men, but I would not. Who
Right.
cares? We're half the population. You're 51% of the population. Who cares?
What I'm saying is that I don't think that that's what's happening. I think that the way that the companies are run creates more opportunity for men than women, and not in an overt way.
You're gonna have to back that one up. I'm
well,
sorry.
it's just
sorry to put you on the spot, but
well, I mean, I'll have to find a couple of podcasts that I've been listening to, people that have written books on it.
I'll tell you what. You find them, and I'll put them in the show in the discussion below. I'll put them in the notes.
It's just that meaning that, I don't remember any specific examples, but it's just an argument. It's just an argument that's being made. I can't say definitively that is accurate, but I know that it's an argument that is made, and so in the same vein, I do think that. I'm saying I think. I'm not saying that I definitively am certain. But from what I've listened to from people and from documentaries and things like that on this type of subject, is that there seems to be a systemic covert atheism.
Covert off the books.
Covert
like. Old boys club, like hey.
Kind of, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
So it's off the books,
like in the scientific community. Down. Like if I'm getting into a science, a higher level science.
You're in a science that's 80% female, though.
Yeah, but the professors.
80% female. Look it up.
The people taking classes in psychology courses are usually female. All right, who ends up being?
If it starts off 80% female, why aren't they continuing on?
Exactly.
Oh, because they have babies and they go take care of their
not
babies.
Not necessarily.
Is that pretty much it?
A lot of the sciences are boys' clubs.
If you're 80% of the students in psychology, and then you're not the majority of the professorship or senior staff,
I don't know if
you're having babies.
No, not
what
necessarily.
Else?
It's a systemic.
It's
sexism.
not your choice. It's us keeping you down.
Right.
You're gonna have to back that up, man.
Okay, no, it's again the way that the system is set up, because when it was set up, there weren't any women in the workforce.
Atheist Edge. Walking the edge of what some consider offensive. But your feelings don't matter here, only facts. Edgy commentary on the dangers of doctrine, the foibles of faith, the bullshit of belief, the stupidity of superstition, and the idiocy of indoctrination. With razor-sharp wit, curiosity, and critical thought, we take an unblinking look at today's religions. We are Atheist Edge.